Welcome everybody to the first session of the Grimdark Book Club. I'm Death God Dave, and we are going back in time to the beginning. Before the 41st millennia became a dumpster fire of religious zealots, there was the Great Crusade, and it all starts here. Horus Rising, by the legend, Dan Abnett himself. And speaking of legends, I'm joined by my co-host. I call him a friend. My Primarch would call him a target. Jordan Chekly, Mr. Blaine Angel himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all good. Yeah, listen, the Blood Angels are the best. However, we're not here to talk about Blood Angels. We're here to
Not yet.
Horus himself. They do make an appearance in this one.
They do,
but, yeah, not a massive one, just dead ones.
Yeah, and so we talked about sort of this idea, right, of kind of Grimdark 40k book club. We both thought it was a good idea. I think after our most recent video we did together, right, we kind of just edged into chatting about the books, and it kind of spiraled, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we're both fanatics for the lore of Warhammer, aren't we? So it's very easy for us to, and like you said, we're great friends, so it's very easy for us to have an easy conversation and to talk about the lore, the things that we're most passionate about. And where better to start than Horus Rising, right?
Yeah, and I think with 11th edition on the horizon, hopefully, and so many more people coming into the hobby, I think it's a really good time to do this kind of thing, to help people who maybe are like, oh my God, there's 100 million books out there. Where do I even start? How do I get into it? So hopefully this kind of will give people a way to have a bit of a view as to what this whole thing is about and where are good books to jump in at.
Yeah, and I think the Horus Heresy, for me, is actually one of the best series of books out there, and it genuinely is going it's going to make you love Space Marines in general. You may not have heard of a certain legion, but every legion you will love in some way, shape, or form. The only one I think we can all agree with is we all hate Erebus.
Yeah, and I think that and you hate him from the beginning, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's important because you need him in the heresy, because he lights the touch paper, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's grimdark, isn't it? Warhammer's all about that grimdark setting, and everyone is technically a bad guy, so you need a bad guy to be the villain.
It's a really good point. So I think for the viewers, right, this series it's for the veterans who want to argue about the Mournival and its new recruits, and some who only know Horus as the guy who ruined everything. Well, it isn't completely Horus's fault. I'm going to say that from the beginning, but ultimately, I guess a lot of responsibility rests on him. So we're going to start with Horus Rising, and then the next couple of books are False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, where obviously we get to the real stars of the show, eventually the Death Guard in Flight of the Eisenstein, but no, everyone is the star of 40k. That's the great thing about it. Like Jordan said, you're going to become fans of Space Marines, of Xenos races, of the engines of war. It's like, it's a great series.
Yeah, absolutely. We meet a whole host of characters in this book that you actually see scattered throughout the series, and I think looking at the Horus Heresy, the first three books are the ones where the storyline is continued. Yeah. And then from that, it kind of splinters off to different legions and different story times or different timestamps, of the Horus Heresy universe. We really need to read those first three to understand why X happens and Z happens, right? So you're going through the story, and I'm really excited to get on this journey with you, Dave, so we can discuss our love and passion for the story.
So Horus Rising, should we talk about maybe a couple of the key characters? So right, let's start with the man himself, right? So who is Horus?
Horus Lupercal. Well, this guy uses charisma, right? He is genuinely. You love Horus so much from like these first three books, but that's what makes it so tragic, right? The story of Horus. But he is the War Master, so basically we're set in a period of time where the Great Crusade is happening. It kind of starts to explain the Great Crusade. Yep. And the Emperor has gone back from the Great Crusade and left one man in charge, and that is Horus Lupercal, the leader of the Lunar Wolves, as they're called at the start, which is, I believe they are the 16th Legion? Yeah,
I think they are. Yeah.
I think they're 16th. So the leader, the War Master of them, and he becomes the leader of everyone. He becomes the Emperor. That's not the Emperor. The Emperor away from terror.
Yeah, absolutely. Horus has become the War Master. There's the title he's been given, and he is now the first among equals. So even amongst his Primarch brothers, he's now in charge. He's big brother.
Yeah, some of the Primarchs doesn't sit well with them. Some of them are happy with it. I mean, my beloved Sanguinius, he's actually really proud for Horus, and you find that out in later.
He's a good brother.
So he's a good brother, whereas some of them are jealous. Some of them don't understand. Some of them want the Emperor to stay. Some of them just don't care. And you kind of see that as we go through these stories. But Horus himself, and this is where the tragedy comes in, is he struggles with this, doesn't he, Dave?
He does. He doesn't. He suddenly realizes the responsibility that's been put on his shoulders, where he's being, besieged left and right with requests from bureaucrats and and his brother Primarchs to come and join this theatre of war and bring your forces here and let me come and see you and talk about this, and actually you've got to go and start collecting taxes, and he suddenly realizes that the Emperor wasn't just leading this expansion into the stars. It's not all conquests and stuff. There's a lot of paperwork that comes with it.
Exactly. He doesn't like the paperwork, does he?
No one likes the paperwork. Yeah,
exactly. Maybe Erebus does, but but I think as well, the interesting thing that I found, especially with this book, is you start to see the change with the Lunar Wolves as well. They kind of take on that burden as well, if you're going to put it that way, of their Primarch as the War Master. So their pride elevates and they become like, we are the sons of the
number
Primarch.
one.
Yeah, exactly. And it actually takes over a lot of them. A lot of them really start to kind of struggle with that. I mean, Loken, who we'll talk about shortly, I'm assuming, but he as well kind of takes on this. He's that figure that Horus wants them all to be. He's like the star pupil, the favourite son, after one of the guys we'll talk about when we get into this book.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about a few of the others. So you're right, Garviel Loken. So is a Lunar Wolf officer, basically, who gets elevated, doesn't he, to this group of Horus's select advisors, his sons. He's, like you said, he's a straight man in the book, isn't he? He's by the letter of the Codex Astartes. He does everything that is the way the Legion does it. He's honourable, he's trustworthy, he's honest. But to your point, he does end up with a lot of pressure on him to be this, shining example, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's the captain of the 10th Company, and even his company exemplifies everything that Horus wants his sons to be. Like, they're all trained rigorously. They're not allowed to. They have to live up to certain expectations, and Loken states this quite a lot in when you start to hear him talk. But there's also the inclusion of the characters, the human characters, the elements of it, right? The remembrances. He gets quite close with. He gets quite close with a couple of them, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're and so for anyone not too familiar, remembrancers are humans who are spread out with the fleets all over the galaxy to record and capture the moment. They're like war correspondents, but they're often artists. So they are either painters or sculptors, or they are what in the future is photographers, but they don't use cameras. And they're basically capturing the war for humanity, and they're basically sending back glorified imagery of the heroics and the might of these gene-enhanced Astartes that are out doing the Emperor's will in the galaxy.
Yeah. And you find as well, as we'll get later into the Horus Heresy series, there's different personas that actually follow the different groups, but they tend to actually reflect a lot of the legions they're with. So there's certain styles and personalities of the characters that actually exemplify what they are. So if we look at one of them, I mean, we've got Mercedes Oliton. She's quite a big character in this as well, and does become quite a big character in the whole Great Crusade as a whole. And even in the Horus Heresy, she becomes quite prolific, right?
Yeah. You've got people like Kirill Sinderman, who goes right to the end of the entire book series, right? He's incredibly influential. And the thing I like about, once again, when you say Horus at the beginning and his examples and ways of trying to lead, he actually encourages and says that his sons have to basically kind of learn from some of these remembrances, and they have to basically enhance their philosophies, because one day, as Horus says at the beginning, there won't be a war, and then what are his sons going to do? So they've got to learn to be leaders and politicians, and kind of have a bit more awareness than just the bolter and blade.
They have to be Ultramarines.
yeah. We haven't got enough of those in the universe right now.
Exactly.
What do you and so then let's jump over to maybe Abaddon, and then we'll get into the first couple of acts of the book. So I mean, Abaddon is basically the boss, right? Of when it's not the War Master, Abaddon is in charge. He's the head of First Company, the Justarian. He's got the most heroic deeds under his belt. He is all about war, isn't he?
He is epic. I mean, this character is, you don't really see too much of him. It's like he has a little bit at the start, doesn't he? But you get the idea. I mean, when Loken interacts with him, he's honored that even
he's even talking to him. Yeah,
exactly. Let alone like playing games in the middle of a war theater, right? I think here's a debate I want the chat to settle. Is it Ezekiel or Ezekiel?
Oh, that's already. I would go Ezekiel. But that's probably because I'm swayed by the first time I heard him in an audiobook. So whoever read one of those books and said his name first, that's probably stuck with me.
Yeah, same. That's how I hear it. But I know people call him Ezekiel.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
So let us know in the chat or comments.
Good question.
Do you think? Is it Ezekiel or Ezekiel?
And is the top knot a good look or not?
That's going to come back in fashion. I might try that stream one day. The top knot. That's very good. It's a good one. But yeah, he's really cool. But it's interesting because all the 40k fans know him as the future version, the chaos version of Abaddon, right? So you see a similar sort of character in terms of his, like, whom he is, his persona magnifies. People respect everything around him. He is this really powerful character, but he's obviously a bit more, I would say he's on a bound in 40k to a degree.
Massively.
On what side you're looking at. But
without getting too far down the road, he's one of the characters I actually had most sympathy for later in the book series. Right now, he seems very one-dimensional, but he's not.
Yeah, just give him time.
So there's a few of the characters, but I guess if we get into the books, and we're kind of breaking up to kind of 3 acts. So there's 3 kind of key parts, right? So you alluded to this at the beginning. In the kind of start of the book, Act 1, the Lunar Wolves they're at the peak of their game. They are on planet 6319. So these references are the Crusade number and kind of which fleet, expeditionary fleet, and which planet it's brought to compliance effectively. So we are the 63rd expedition and the 19th planet being brought to compliance, and it looks like Earth, doesn't it? And there's a guy sitting on the throne, and at the beginning, the book opens with Loken basically saying, "I was there the day Horus slew the Emperor."
Oh, those epic words! The ultimate foreshadowing. This,
and ruse.
And ruse, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if you agree with this, but I actually think this is the best setup for a book I've ever read. Because a lot of people that read the Horus Heresy already know the story.
Yes.
This bit kind of like, it goes, he slew the Emperor. Wait, what? And it's like, and then you start to see, well, but they follow the Emperor, so has it happened already? And then you start having all these questions going on. Is this him in the future? That's what I was thinking when I read it. Is this Horus? Is this Loken in the future? Or it gives you so much. It draws you straight in. It's a masterpiece of writing. So
I think it's especially when you understand. So when I interviewed Dan about some of his books, he was saying that you read this opening line, as you just said there, and you think, as you get to the end of the series, you're like, oh, it was such a genius piece of writing back at the beginning. But Dan said that when he wrote the first book, he and the other authors thought there were going to be 10 or 12 books.
Right.
And obviously, because they didn't know how successful it would be. And obviously, as you said, and I agree with you, I think it's one of the best, it's my favorite fiction series of books ever.
Yep.
And it's to have written that, not being sure how far it was going to go, and it becomes increasingly relevant and clever as the series expanded into what it did.
Absolutely.
So I completely agree with you. So they're there. The world is even called Terra.
Yeah.
And they've basically come across this world where they have met someone claiming to be the Emperor of Mankind on Terra, and the first meeting is not very probably not very successful, is it?
Nah, poor Sejanus. Horus's favourite son. Or at the time, anyway.
At the time,
he gets sent down to kind of negotiate with this emperor in brackets.
Yeah.
Goes down to negotiate to obviously form a truce, and it doesn't go well, does it? So Janus gets assassinated by these invisibles.
Yeah, these kind of they gets horribly murdered and quite brutally, quite efficiently as well. We all know Astartes as being incredibly powerful and strong and killers, and then they get killed. So it immediately sets up that this place is a threat.
Yeah, I think as well that there's a part. So obviously they're having this war, and it's a war that the Astartes aren't actually used to, because these people they're facing have weapons like them. It's kind of like for like. Facing each other, and the Astartes are kind of taken aback. They're used to just being gods of the battlefield, but these guys are tearing them like pasta, right?
And then they kind of decide that they're going to go full throttle, don't they? And they fully attack this world.
Loken goes off. he's having that blasted, and that's why Ezekiel starts to go. Ezekiel decides to go. You do like I see you, and he's like, oh wow, I'm honoured.
Yeah, and they actually, Jordan alluded to earlier, but they have a conversation over their Vox beads where he's basically like first to the throne room wins, and Loken is honoured as like Abaddon is basically, like you say, jesting with him, and Loken gets there, doesn't he?
Yeah, and even one of his veteran sergeants turns around to him and goes, "Remember me when you're famous and stuff," and he's like, "I might not have time for you." So it's funny seeing the interaction between them, but there's something as well that. There's quite a big part of this where you kind of get taken out of this fight and you go back to where Loken meets Mercediolaton. And then there's a bit where they start to discuss the whole interaction of, well, why didn't we just leave him in peace?
Yeah, that's what the Emperor says, doesn't he? He literally says to him at the end, he's like, why didn't you just leave us alone?
Well, is it the Emperor?
Well, is it? Yeah, it's a good question. But you're right. But then suddenly this question becomes, and Loken kind of reflects on that, doesn't he? He actually kind of is asking himself the question of, well, why didn't we just pass them by? They were.
Why is it so important we bring them to compliance? And it's all of this gaze of compliance, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of brings in this idea as the Imperium, and the idea of the Imperium is all broadcasted to be this. We are the saviors of the galaxy. We're saving humanity, bringing everyone onto the fold. But this planet was already prosperous. People were happy. Everything was working. And you just brought war to it and just...
Yeah, if you don't bow down, you get the hammer of, the hammer of the Imperium drops on you until you are crushed, and then they take over. Yeah. So the planet gets taken over, doesn't it? And they bring this planet to compliance. But then there's a bit of resistance, isn't there, out in a place called the Whisperheads. Yes. So, and I should say as well that Loken at this point also has been invited to join the Mournival, because Janus has been killed, as Jordan said. So now there's a gap, and after this battle, this compliance, Loken is elevated into this council of 4, which are supposed to be the voices for Horus to bounce off of.
Yeah, they're like his favourite sons, effectively, but they all have different traits, don't they, that he kind of bounces off. And I think they're all a bit shocked with Loken as well, because Loken is kind of he's not what they would have expected to have been elevated to that position. But I think Horus sees him as this replacement for Ser Janus in many ways but one, right? And really values his opinion. So Loken finds himself in a, like we said quite a few times, he's really thinking so much about, like, feels out of place, and reflects Horus quite a bit, actually, in the fact that Horus feels out of place. And even though these people are elevated to godhood effectively, they're practically immortal beings that are still struggling with human emotion. And that's what I think makes Space Marines so relatable at times, is they do have that humanity in them. I really love that. But Whisperheads. Sorry.
Yeah. So no. That was a really good point, and it's one of the things that makes this book such a good starting point. Is we aren't just this. It's not just pure war. Some of the Astartes are, but then you've got characters like Loken, which is how individual Space Marines, who are genetic duplicates, effectively, kind of each other's things. Then how they stand out from one another, and that's where we see some of the heroes throughout the Horus Heresy, which we'll get into as we go. But tell us about the what's going on with the Whisperheads, Jordan.
Well, the Whisperheads. This is where you've basically got like the remnants of this planet that have somewhat got warp influence.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know as well, so the warp is like the dimension outside of reality, which is how people travel through the galaxy.
Yeah.
It's kind of this pocket which is full of like demons and the gods and everything. But the whole thing about this compliance and the Emperor taking over the galaxy is to tell people there's no gods. There's no such thing as gods and demons. There's heresy.
Yeah. It's a secular imperium where there's one emperor and there are the people that live in it and the universe as it is.
Yeah, and it's that whole thing of ignorance will help save you from the truth, right? And that's kind of the imperium is built on this ignorance. That the Emperor's trying to. If we don't let people know there's gods, everything's raging on.
Just do your job. Look down at your lectern, scribe, and be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone will be happy. Anything can't go wrong here, right? But,
no, of course not.
But it goes wrong. So
it does. Classic 40k. Yeah.
Exactly. There's always got to be a way, right? But yeah, so there's the Astartes and everyone have no idea about gods or chaos or the warp or anything like this. And
no, they don't.
They encounter this, what happens, and we meet a son of Horus who is kind of possessed, right?
Yeah, Jubal gets a character called Xavier Jubal gets possessed, and we know by what, given our experience, our knowledge of the tabletop game, and we know the term demon, we know what that means. But you're absolutely right. I think this is another good revelation as a reader: is you go into this going, well, of course everyone knows what demons are, of course they know what the what the Chaos Gods are, but actually at this point in the Crusade, they don't. Even the Space Marines don't know what all this stuff is. And yeah, he's
even the Primarchs. They're not aware. Horus is, but that's because he spent so much time with the Emperor that the Emperor thought he could trust him.
Yes.
And that's kind of the extent of it, right? And we see Horus have to kind of play negotiator around all of this, even with his own favourite sons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as we said, Jubal, unfortunately, he's kind of the one that takes the hit for the team here. And he gets possessed. He sees these signs and words, and chaos infects him, and he actually ends up committing one of the most crazy crimes that any Space Marine could ever commit, which is not what this entire series has been built on. Killed another Space Marine.
Yeah. Like it's the first bit of fratricide, isn't it? Like kind of in the book, and like once again foreshadowing the future. And again, we're gone. No, go.
I was just about to say that, like, this is where Loken again really struggles with this idea. Him and Cinderman as well both have this encounter with Jubal where, I mean, Loken has to kill Jubal, like has this whole fight with him, and Jubal was meant to be this master of axes and daggers and stuff in the training cages and the sparring, but he's actually he just throws it away because he's possessed, and he keeps talking to Loken like, do you not hear it? Do you not see it? And Loken's like, what are you on about, you daft man? Like, sort yourself out. And he's just not having it. Next thing you know, he goes wild berserk and talking the name Samus.
Yeah. Then we get the famous line, don't we? Which is what? Samus is here. Samus is the man next to you. And we hear that. We'll hear that line quite a lot through the books, won't we?
Yes, especially with Loken. Kind of like the two of the main good guy, the main bad guy, effectively outside of the Primarchs and stuff.
And I will say that for those of you who like your heroes who are particularly skilled at arms in the books, Loken at the beginning you're a bit like, he's a Space Marine stuff. Loken beats a lot of people, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He's especially by the end of the whole series of the Heresy, you really grow a lot of respect for Loken, especially as a fighter. And you kind of see why Horus loved him.
And I think this is a real big turning point around. So, like for the Lunar Wolves, they think, like you said, they're very prideful. Their Primarch is the War Master, and they think they're number one, and then you end up getting this fratricide that happens, but they don't really. It doesn't get shared, does it? What happened to Jubal? It kind of gets buried.
Yeah, they're really trying to hide what's happened, and especially, like I said, Horus knows what happened. Like, I wouldn't say Horus knows everything to the full extent, but he knows what the Empress told him. He understands what the warp is. He understands that there are demons, and knows. And it's kind of like even Cinderman. They create this entire lie of what happens. So it goes in the records that Jubal just had he was infected by like some chemical warfare, and his mind was sent doolally because of these whatever these warriors were using, which obviously, as we know, isn't the case. And Loken knows that as well. He knows there was something wrong there.
Yeah, it's kind of that's another kind of crack in the armor of the Legion, right? It's like now this group and Horus and Cinderman, like everyone's kind of had to make this lie up about this thing that they've seen, but they have to they're having to hide it and lie about it. And the Astartes don't have to hide about things, do they? Like,
well, apparently they do in this one.
Yeah.
And this one definitely it adds a lot of. I think this is where the Sons of Horus, which they then get named the Lunar Wolves later. Sorry, the Lunar Wolves get named
the Sons of Horus a bit later on. Yeah.
They get renamed later to kind of reflect this change, right? And genuinely, like you said, this point is the crack in the armor. This is the point where it starts to become too much. Everything they were on a knife's edge, and it's just starting to collapse, and it's crazy to see.
Yeah, and when there's a crack in something, it can let things in, can't it? And it's kind of the start of like the seeping in of the use it more Death Guard term, the rot, but it's also the influence of different forces in the universe. So I think also what else is going on, which is chipping away at the armor of purity, in so to speak, is that we've got kind of the warrior lodges starting to appear in the background, right? Which is a certain person we talked about at the beginning is kind of having a hand in this, isn't he? This is trying to create these like brotherhood groups that meet in kind of secret, that only certain people are invited to form these kind of legion spanning relationships.
Yes, and this is the start of it all. It's the seeds of heresy, I would say, right? This
definitely.
is where, like you said, this is genuinely like Erebus, who's word bearer, is behind a lot of what happens, and you start to see that as well. And this book really starts to show that. But the warrior lodges are what he brings in to kind of divide the legions, so that chaos can have a way into the legions, creating pride, if you I've been invited. It's like Loken with Ezekiel. It kind of foreshadows that a little.
Yeah, it does. It does.
The first captain, he knows me.
I'm suddenly more important.
Yeah. And then you allow the warrior lodges. Oh, you can't be in there. Get out of here. It does create this divide between a brotherhood, which was created to be so sacred between Space Marines from the get-go, which is the Emperor made them go, you are brothers. The Primarch is like a father to you. That's where the love for the Primarchs and his sons and everything comes into it. And these warrior lodges really do divide everyone.
Yeah, because you've now got the Legion divided by rank, and divided by like then the Mournival, like within what is at this point the Lunar Wolves, and now there are warrior lodges as another slice of a bit which you're in or you're not in, and you don't talk about what goes on inside the warrior lodges to people who are not inside the warrior lodges.
And also as well, rank doesn't matter in the warrior lodges.
No.
So it doesn't even if you're a captain to a consul to whatever rank you are, a legionnaire, you're all the same. You're all just brothers of this lodge. And if you're outside that, don't talk to you.
Yeah. So this is almost like another cancer that's growing, isn't it? Like within the Legion, and not just the Lunar Wolves at this point. This is spanning
all the legions. Yeah.
And then I guess that we get to Act 3. So this is with another planet or another people called the Interrex, and this is actually the first battle in this is against the Mecha Arachnid, right? The Mega Arachnid, which I know loads of people laugh at for being named that. But what we find out is that actually that planet where they were was like a reserve. It was basically where another race of highly advanced humans who are living with a subjugated Xenos race had basically battled this invasive species. Think Starship Troopers, I think, is a really good example.
No,
and they basically wiped them out down to a certain amount of them, collected up and captured the remains of this race, and deposited them on one world and took away all their ability to star travel. So, unfortunately, Horus and co. ran into that and ran into some beacons that said stay away.
Yeah.
Classic Astartes mentality.
Hey, the Blood Angels were the ones that triggered it.
True. Yeah, it was your fault to be honest, but classic.
To be honest.
But it's still classic Astartes, right? It's like we're the Imperium of mankind. We don't care about your stupid warning beacons. We're going to come here and a huge battle, they siege the planet, don't they, and wipe out this.
It's the fighting again is another shock to the Astartes because they're facing an army that can handle them.
Yeah.
Or not an army as such, because the Mega Arachnids are more just to get rude.
But they're
aliens.
Deadly, aren't they?
Oh, 100%.
Even to Astartes, yeah.
Even to Astartes, you've got these trees which they're like hanging up like bodies and stuff where they're like, it's crazy. And like you've got this fight between the Emperor's Children, the Blood Angels, and the Sons of Horus all on the same planet. And like, well, the Blood Angels are all dead, but. But the Emperor's Children are like them fighting with the Lunar Wolves to get the kills and the victory. And
Jordan, the brave are always the first to die, though. Remember that.
You're not wrong. But it's all right. Father Sanguinius turns up at the end. And,
certainly does. Yeah.
He wasn't too happy.
No, but so this happens on this world, and then they basically encounter the race called the Interrex, who is this giant 30 system spanning empire. It's a genuine empire, but they're humans. And they know that they're descended from Earth, from Terra.
Yeah.
And so when they meet kind of Horus and go, they realise that this is like the lineage back to the old stories, the generations and generations and generations of that. And they, of course, Horus is now a little bit kind of like, I'm kind of a bit sick of war at the minute, and everything that's been put on my head and all the bureaucracy, and I'm going to try and do this through negotiation and actually show them that the Imperium of Man can be peaceful, sensible, welcoming, and they go into a period of negotiation, don't they?
Yeah, then it seems to be going okay. Like
it does.
Horus is actually having a conversation with them. They kind of confess that they know what chaos is called, and it's called something like chaos, is it?
Yeah, they do pronounce it chaos as well. Yeah, but it's like you said, it's KA, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? But so they have all this knowledge, all this stuff that Horus is like, wow, this is good. I really want this to work. He's desperate for it to work.
Yep.
Even though he's got like Sanguinius who wants to destroy, you've got the Emperor's Children are like, no, we need to, like, these guys are angry, and he's just like, hold back, brothers, please.
I want to do this my way.
Yeah, let's do this properly.
But we go back to the main man again.
The main man himself. So yeah, they whilst they're being toured, they're there for weeks having discussions, and whilst they are on the planet, they get shown a museum that contains the weapons of the alien race that this human culture subjugated, and they look like normal blades, but we found out this is the anatheme, right? The kind of the weapons that are kind of hinted at as almost like they are demonic or they're supernatural in some way, but Horus and his guys trying to show that they're not all about war. They don't push the question, but Sinderman asks some questions, doesn't he? He basically says to them, so are they cursed, or are you talking about supernatural? And the Interrex basically go, yeah, that's kind of a good way of describing it. And everyone's like, because we didn't like that stuff in the Imperium, and then everyone kind of they have a few more meetings. Horus goes to dinner with the leader, and in the house you've got Loken, and they're on patrol. They're all bodyguarding, and the Interrex's bodyguards are also walking around. And Loken encounters one of their captains, and they actually get on really, really well. They have this discussion, and the captain of the Interrex says basically, look, the reason we've been holding you at bay is because we were concerned that you were infested by chaos. Your leader is called the War Master. Like, that sounds like not our leader, not our superior, not our commander, War Master. And he's like, that's a really blunt chaos kind of term. And then he explains that the Eldar have basically told them all about chaos, and they know all about it. And he has this shocking realization that Loken and all of his buddies know nothing about chaos. They've been traveling through the warp, thinking it's just a bit of space, and not knowing what inhabits it. And as they start to come to this understanding, and Loken's like, "Tell me all about it," an alarm goes off.
Yes. Yeah, well, it had to happen to keep the story going, I guess.
It did, didn't it? Yeah, that couldn't be a nice ending.
Erebus decides to basically steal the anathema and cause all sorts of... and blame it as well on the Insurrector, and basically cause this whole war, right? To start the fires of war, to dissuade Horus from kind of taking the good route. He's trying to force him on a certain path.
He is, and he doesn't try, does he? He quite successfully does it. Yeah. So Loken then has to kill this man that he's just kind of met and was breaking through with, and he's like, "Please don't make me fight you." And it turns out the Interex's weapons are incredibly advanced. Loads of lunar wolves get killed in the escape. Horus goes on a rampage and, being the Primarch he is, starts killing loads of them, but they're eventually pushed back by huge waves of enemies with very advanced weaponry, and they end up having to leave the planet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they fall back, and as they get there, Horus does rename then the Lunar Wolves, you talked about it earlier, to the Sons of Horus. They change their colours to sea green, white, to that kind of dark black green kind of element. And they're literally shedding their old skin at this point. It's like, this is one of the fracturing points. We are not what we were. We tried to be good. We tried to be negotiable. We tried to be humane. We had to become war. And then we get a little cut to the bottom bilge pumps of the ship, and Erebus looking at his little prize of what he took.
Yes. Obviously, the ultimate of force. This book genuinely, and this is why I think it's considered
a great book,
a masterpiece by so many people, is it. Almost every act has an element of foreshadowing for what's to come. Completely. Whether or not they intended it or not, they've successfully executed that over the course of this series. And you look at what Erebus does in the next book that we'll come on to after this one, and seeing how obviously all this pans out, you are just like, this is just, I feel sorry for Horus. I feel Sanguinius's pain when Horus turns eventually, because I'm like, and you see how it really splits a lot of these characters, because Horus is so beloved by so many people.
Yeah, you think he's awesome.
Yeah, but he probably just wasn't the right guy for it. He just couldn't handle the pressure of the job, I guess.
Well, we've all been offered a job at some point, which we took and then realised it might not have been the best one. But I think there's kind of three big things we learn from this book, which is the Imperial truth is a lie. Right, the Emperor said there were no gods, and there kind of are, and that lie made them kind of weaker, because they weren't prepared for what was out there. It's a bit like you've been playing in your back garden for the whole life, and then the gate swung open one day into the woods. Kind of and you went out and you were like, oh no, Dad said it was fine. And there were literally wolves and snakes and bears out there.
And then you get torn to pieces.
I think the second one is becoming. You just talked about it. The Horus is lonely, right? He's carrying the weight of his galaxy on him, and he then doesn't think he suddenly thinks, I'm out here. I got elevated to this thing, and everything I got told isn't true. I've been kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor, I'm the Emperor's number one son, and he didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And then 3, the blade is the key, right? The anatheme that Erebus stole, it's basically like a key, isn't it? Like he's opened a lock to the future of what's going to happen, and that weapon is going to change everything in the next book.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as you said, the next book is really going to flesh out a lot of the story. But yeah, it really does come down to those 3 points, and Horus not being told the entire picture. By the Emperor, it really was the biggest mistake the Emperor did. If
he'd been told, it's a classic, right, with these kind of stories. You can pinpoint in a film. You're like, if this just hadn't happened, if Horus had been told, they'd all been told, his sons, that chaos was out there and to guard against it, and this is why we say the Imperial truth is the Imperial truth for the citizens. Would he have been prepared for it?
Well, this is it. I think the Emperor was very. He didn't we all see the Emperor as this like silent being in a lot of ways, right? And I think that really reflects the errors of his ways, as he kept too much away from mankind when he thought he was doing the right by mankind. He was like, you can't trust mankind with the truth. Yeah. But what he's done by doing that is, as soon as that truth comes out, that is the Achilles heel of the Imperium and the Emperor himself. Yeah. Is truth.
And I think the other thing that's so great about this book is literally the last line is, it cuts back to the front of the book where Loken is telling Mercedes the story of what happened. What we've seen, what we've just covered in between is the retelling of the story of what happened. And at the very end, it cuts back to Loken with his lapping powder, fixing his armor, telling the story. And he says, we then got asked to go and intercede on a little moon called Davin. As we all know,
perfectly.
And we'll talk about Davin in the next one. But safe to say, it's a pretty pivotal moment. And then this first book contains so much great stuff. There's so much action. It's so much establishment. Exposition setting. We get introduced to so many great characters. It's a real great book. I think if you've heard that the Horus Heresy is sprawling and there are certain books to avoid because some of them are a little bit more filler than others, this is absolutely not one of them. You want to read this first.
It's essential.
Yeah,
it's a starting point. Even like I said, like we have our favorite legions. Even if you've come from 40k, you love Imperial Fist or Salamanders or whatever it might be. It may not be in this book, but this is going to help you understand the rest of it when you come to your own individual books later in the series. So 100%, it's a masterpiece. And I can't wait to read the next one as well.
So, what do you? So, out of like 5 blood drops for your scoring system, Jordan, how many would you give it?
A 5. A 5. It's absolutely amazing. Just the whole foreshadow. Every scene is just set up so well. And it does genuinely make you love the villain of the Horus Heresy.
Completely agree. So just to run up everyone, that is Horus Rising by Dan Abnett. It's the first in the series. We will be going to False Gods next. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. This will be both available on my channel, Death Guard Dave, which you should be watching this on, or if not, it will also be uploaded as a podcast. So hopefully this will be nice for you to stick on in the car or just have on in the background while you're painting. Jordan, really looking forward to talking about the next one.
Yeah, same, mate. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to get through on this journey with you, mate, because I think we have such shared passion for these projects. Yep. And we could genuinely talk for England on all this. So
I know.
I think we've done well to shorten it down.
I'm worried for when we get into the Siege to Terror books, because I think those are going to be hour and a half long episodes.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have to start taking longer journeys, people.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, and tune in again for the next one. Hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye.